The mountain air tasted of dust and iron as her teammates fell around her. She was their medic, their only hope for survival. But when the dying commander pushed his .50 cal rifle into her hands, his order shattered their reality. The world had shrunk to the jagged peaks of the Zargan Massif, a godforsaken spine of rock and ice where the wind never stopped screaming. For Anya Sharma, it tasted of cordite, hot metal, and the coppery tang of blood. Around her, the granite landscape was a canvas of chaos. The rhythmic thump-thump-thump of their Chinook had been replaced by the deafening, irregular crack of enemy fire and the sickening wet thud of bullets finding homes in flesh and bone. Her brothers in arms, the elite SEALs of Phoenix Team, were being picked apart. They were caught in a perfectly executed L-shaped ambush on an exposed ridge. Anya, the team's medic, moved in a low crouch, her black hair pulled into a tight, tactical bun, stray strands whipping across her face. Her normally calm, pale hazel eyes were wide with focus, scanning the carnage. Man down, west flank. The call, strained and desperate, came through her earpiece. She was already moving, scrambling over loose scree. She reached Corporal Davies, whose leg was a ruin of shredded fatigues and blood. As she worked, her hands were a blur of efficiency. Tourniquet wrenched tight, pressure dressing applied, morphine syringe pressed into his thigh. But even as her hands performed the familiar dance of saving a life, her mind was a cold, calculating machine. The entry wound is clean, high velocity. Not an AK round. They're using something with more reach. .338 Lapua Magnum. Maybe? Her eyes flicked up toward the opposing ridge, a kilometer away. She saw the heat haze shimmering above the rocks, distorting the air. The shots were coming from up there, coordinated, professional. They weren't just spraying and praying. They were hunting. "Stay with me, Davies," she murmured, her voice a low anchor in the storm. She wore standard medic gear, but on the strap of her pack was a small, hand-sewn eagle feather talisman, a quiet reminder of a different life. The team saw it as a quirky good luck charm. They saw her as their doc, someone to be protected, kept in the center of the formation, shielded from the worst of the fighting. "Anya, stay down." Sergeant Marcus Cole, a mountain of a man with a voice like gravel, yelled from behind a rock outcropping. "We'll lay down, cover fire." She appreciated the sentiment. She truly did. They were good men. They thought they were keeping her safe. But to Anya, it felt like being locked in a cage while her family was being slaughtered outside. What they didn't understand was that in the quiet hours on base, long before the sun rose, she wasn't just restocking medical kits. She was at the range, the cold steel of a rifle a familiar weight in her hands, keeping skills they couldn't possibly imagine razor sharp. She knew this day might come, a day when bandages and morphine wouldn't be enough. That day was now. The breaking point came in a flash of violence that seemed to warp time itself. Young Corporal Ben Carter, the team's rookie, the one who always had a goofy grin and a picture of his high school sweetheart taped to his helmet, made a fatal mistake. Pinned down and desperate, he broke cover, trying to drag a wounded teammate to safety. A single, sharp crack echoed from the high ground, distinct from the general roar of battle. It was the sound of a death sentence being signed. Carter crumpled without a sound, a neat, dark hole appearing in the side of his helmet. He fell right in front of Anya, his eyes wide and vacant. Something inside her snapped. A cold, silent fury eclipsed the medic's desperate grief. It wasn't just about saving the wounded anymore. It was about stopping the killing. She looked over at their commander, Lieutenant Commander Alex Thorne, who was propped against a boulder, his face ashen. A dark stain was spreading across his chest. He was dying, and he knew it. He followed her gaze to Carter's still form, then back to her. His eyes, though clouded with pain, held a terrifying clarity. With a final, agonizing effort, he pushed the rifle beside him toward her. It wasn't a standard issue M4. It was a Macmillan TC-50, a .50 caliber anti-material sniper rifle. A cannon. "Take it," Thorne rasped, his voice a ghost over the gunfire. "Take my rifle and drop that sniper." The world stopped. Heads turned. Even in the middle of a firefight, the commander's words were so absurd, so utterly insane, that they cut through the noise. Give the team's most powerful weapon to the medic? Corporal Carter's best friend, another young SEAL named Jensen, stared in disbelief. Sir, give it to her. Ben Carter's replacement, a newer addition named Corporal Evans, saw Anya reach for the weapon and lunge forward, his face a mask of panic. He thought she was in shock, her mind broken by the carnage. Doc, what are you doing? He yelled, trying to grab a rifle from her. You're in shock. Let it go. He grabbed the barrel, but the instant his hand made contact, Anya's grip tightened with a strength that stunned him into silence. Her pale hazel eyes, no longer wide with a medic's concern, had become chips of ice. She didn't look at him. She looked through him, her gaze fixed on the distant ridge. The fight went out of Evans instantly. He let go as if the rifle had burned him, stumbling back with a new kind of fear in his eyes. He hadn't been trying to take a rifle from their medic. He had been trying to take a weapon from a predator. In the heart of hell, a profound calm settled over Anya. The chaos faded to a dull roar, a backdrop to the symphony of physics and precision that now consumed her. The weight of the Macmillan TC-50 in her hands wasn't foreign. It was a homecoming. Her hands, which had been trembling moments before as she tried to stem the flow of life from her friends, were now rock steady. She ignored the stunned faces of her team. Her movements were fluid, economical, and terrifyingly professional. She settled behind the rifle, her body molding to the rock and the weapon as if she were born to it. With her left hand, she ejected the magazine, checked the remaining rounds with a glance, and slammed it back into the receiver with a solid, authoritative click. Her thumb flicked the safety off. Doc, you don't know how to use that thing, Jensen whispered, his voice laced with a mixture of awe and terror. Anya didn't answer. She was already working. Her right hand went to the scope's turret, her fingers dialing in adjustments with practiced ease. She put her eye to the scope, but only for a second. She pulled back, held up a thumb to the wind, and licked it, feeling the faint, cool kiss of the crosswind from the west. 1,000 meters, she murmured, almost to herself. Crosswind 5 miles per hour. Updraft from the valley floor. She breathed out a long, slow hiss, and her finger rested on the trigger. Sergeant Cole, watching this impossible transformation, keyed his comms with a trembling hand, his voice a low, urgent whisper meant only for the command channel. HQ, this is Phoenix Actual. What the hell aren't you telling us about our medic? Through the high-powered scope, the enemy's hideout came into sharp focus. It was a masterclass in camouflage, a nest of rocks and netting that blended almost perfectly with the terrain. But Anya's eyes, trained for years to see the unseen, caught the telltale signs. A shadow that was just a fraction too deep. The faint, almost imperceptible glint of sunlight off a scope lens. A patch of disturbed earth. That was all she needed. She adjusted her aim, leading the target slightly. Elevation 8.2 mils. Windage left 1.5, she whispered, the numbers of prayer to the gods of ballistics. She took a breath, let half of it out, and the world fell silent. The shot was a deafening crack that ripped through the air, followed by the sonic boom of the bullet breaking the sound barrier. A heartbeat later, 1,000 meters away, a small puff of red mist and dust erupted from the sniper's nest. The enemy rifle fell silent. No pause. No celebration. Her hand worked the bolt action with surgical precision, a smooth, powerful motion that ejected the spent casing, which spun away, gleaming like a golden insect in the sun. She was already scanning, hunting, acquiring second shooter, she said calmly over the radio, her voice so devoid of emotion it was chilling. The remaining SEALs could only stare, their own rifles forgotten. This wasn't their gentle, kind-hearted document. This was someone else entirely. She found him in seconds, hidden 200 meters to the left of the first. This one was smarter, tucked deeper into the shadows. But not smart enough. Another breath. Another calculation. Another earth-shattering crack. And another enemy rifle went silent. A new movement caught her eye. A flicker of motion, fast and desperate. the third sniper. He knew he was being hunted. He'd seen his partners extinguished and was breaking cover, scrambling for a new position. This was the hardest shot of all, a moving target at maximum effective range. Third target on the move, Anya reported, her voice a flat monotone. 200 meters northwest of last position. He's their commander. She tracked his frantic dash with the unblinking focus of an eagle. He was fast, using every dip and rock for cover, but his panic made him predictable. 1,200 meters, she breathed. Her mind was a supercomputer, calculating lead, spin drift, and the subtle drop of the heavy bullet over that vast distance. Her breathing was even, her pulses slow, steady drum. She led the running figure, her timing perfect, her crosshairs a whisper ahead of his path. The shot broke the afternoon stillness. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, the distant figure stumbled, twisted, and fell, vanishing behind a rocky outcrop. A final, profound silence descended upon the Zargan Massif. The ambush was over. For a full 10 seconds, the only sound was the wind. Then, the radio crackled to life, slicing through the stunned aftermath. Phoenix Actual, this is HQ. We're seeing thermal signatures go dark on the ridgeline. What's your status? Over. Lieutenant Commander Thorne, bleeding but conscious, keyed his mic. His voice was weak but steady. HQ, our medic just eliminated 3 enemy snipers with precision shots, all at over 1,000 meters. He paused, took a ragged breath, and his voice gained a hard, demanding edge. I need to know who she really is. Now, a heavy silence followed from the other end. The entire team, listening on the open channel, held their breath. The silence stretched, loaded with unspoken secrets, until a new voice came on the line. A voice they recognized as belonging to a high-ranking officer at SOCOM. Classified, Phoenix Actual, the voice said, grim and reluctant. But you should know, Staff Sergeant Anya Sharma was the top graduate of her class at the U.S. Army Sniper School. She was the lead marksman for a disbanded Tier 1 unit, call sign Project Ghost. Her operational code name was Banshee. Another pause, as if the officer was reading from a file he could scarcely believe himself. She has 52 confirmed kills, 7 of them at ranges exceeding 1,500 meters. She transferred to medical command at her own request after her unit was decommissioned. The revelation hit the team like a physical blow. It was a thunderclap that rearranged their entire understanding of the woman who patched their wounds and checked their vitals. Their quiet, humble medic wasn't just competent. She was a ghost, a legend, one of the deadliest sharpshooters the military had ever produced. The silence on the ridge was now one of pure, unadulterated shock. The SEALs looked from their dying commander to the woman who was calmly breaking down the Macmillan TC-50, her every motion crisp and efficient, cleaning the weapon as if it were a routine chore. Corporal Evans, the one who had tried to take the rifle from her, just stared, his mouth agape. Sergeant Cole slowly lowered his rifle, shaking his head in disbelief. 52, Jensen whispered, the number hanging in the air like smoke. Why, Doc? Why didn't you tell us? Anya slid the bolt back into the rifle's action before finally looking up. Her eyes were no longer chips of ice. The medic's warmth had returned, but it was now layered with a depth they had never seen before. My job is to put you back together, not to add to the tally on a wall, she said, her voice soft but firm. When there's a choice to save a life, that is always the first choice. The simplicity and power of her words silenced any further questions. It wasn't about hiding her skills. It was about prioritizing her duty. A duty to heal. Thorne, wincing as he tried to sit up, stared at her. All those times we told you to stay back, to let us handle it. We were trying to protect you. And I was doing my job by letting you. Anya replied gently, moving to his side and pressing a fresh dressing to his wound. Her touch as steady as ever. Your protection was never meaningless. It meant I could focus on mine. In that moment, the way they saw her shifted forever. She was no longer the fragile asset to be shielded. She was a guardian in her own right, a warrior who had chosen humility over glory, until the day came when only her unique brand of violence could save them all. As they prepared for extraction, their movements around her changed. When the rescue helicopter finally arrived, Sergeant Cole, without a word, took his own canteen and handed it to her, a gesture of profound respect on a battlefield where water was life. Thorne, being loaded onto a stretcher, gave one last order over the comms. From now on, Staff Sergeant Sharma is this team's medic and designated marksman. Anyone with a problem can take it up with me. There were no problems. As she boarded the helicopter, they didn't place her in the protected center. They motioned for her to take a seat by the door gun next to the other shooters. She belonged there, and for the first time they all knew it. Back at base, the story of what happened on the Zargan Massif spread like wildfire. The medic who became a legend. The ghost who saved her entire team, first with her hands, then with her aim. But it became more than just a story. It became a catalyst for change. The official report prompted SOCOM to launch a new pilot program, the Integrated Combatant Initiative, designed to provide cross-training and advanced combat skills for support personnel. The lines between combat and support began to blur, recognizing that the most valuable soldier is the one who can adapt to anything. Female service members across the branches heard her story, and it became a quiet source of inspiration, a testament to the fact that skill and courage have no gender. The most profound change, however, was within Phoenix Team itself. They hadn't just gained a new respect for their medic. They had gained an unshakable faith in a quiet warrior who would do whatever it took to bring them all home. They started cross-training in earnest, with Anya teaching them advanced trauma care, while they, in turn, sharpened her edge on the latest close-quarters combat tactics. They were no longer just a team. They were a truly adaptable force. Then one day, she was gone. No warning, no fanfare. On her neatly made bunk, they found only a single piece of paper. Written in her steady, precise hand were 4 words. Earn your sunrise. Her absence left a hollow ache, but her lesson remained, etched into the soul of the unit. The greatest strength isn't about who is quickest to pull the trigger, but about who has the wisdom to know when and when not. They learned that the deadliest warriors often carry compassion as their primary weapon, and violence only as a final, necessary tool to protect others. In our own lives, we pass people like Anya every day. The quiet nurse who might have advanced degrees in biochemistry. The office administrator who speaks 5 languages fluently. The janitor who is secretly penning the next great American novel. Each of them carries untold stories and hidden capabilities. Anya's story is a powerful reminder to never underestimate anyone based on their role, their title, or the face they show the world. In your own life, who is the person everyone overlooks? The quiet colleague, the friendly grocery clerk, the unassuming neighbor? What incredible stories might they be holding inside? Share your thoughts in the comments below, but please, always comment with respect. Every person's story has value. Your kind words might be what encourages someone to finally show the world the hidden light they carry. If this story moved you, please give a like, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more true stories that reveal the extraordinary in the ordinary.